Fatou, welcome. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. We met online thanks to our common supporter, helper, my coach at this point, Philip, right? And he said that we had so much in common that we were supposed to talk. It was written in the stars. Exactly. And indeed, we had a lot of really cool things to share, our experiences living abroad, but also our work with migrants, right? As trying to help them to feel more welcomed in the places that they are, but also to have a say with their career, with their lives, right? Not believing the world that sometimes tells us that we're not welcome or we're not needed or we are kind of second grades, if not more, right? We have a say in the way that our career and our lives develop. So Fatou, you are a coach for migrants. You help people get better career, better professional lives, maybe more money, more wealth, more opportunities. And also recently you have been working with matchmaking, right, for internationals that have a goal of building a career. So I'm super excited to talk to you today about our professional lives, but also how they can be supported by our personal lives. And also knowing that you have lived abroad in Ireland, right? And then you came back to France. It's a very interesting conversation to have about how it is that you took that decision, but also what is happening in your life right now and how that decision influenced your career, your business, but also your personal growth.
Yeah, for sure. There's so much to say. Okay, so should we go back to how I left France in the first place?
Yes, so you know how we start with this podcast. I ask you to tell us a story, to paint the picture as vividly as possible about your first day in Ireland, right? As you moved from France. And also the first week, so then we can understand what was the contact and how you ended up taking that decision.
So let's go back to the 27th of June 2014, because that's the day I arrived in Cork. So Cork is in the south of Ireland. It's the second city, but to be honest, a couple of months before, I never heard about Cork. The only place I knew in Ireland was Dublin and Belfast. So I was not familiar that much with the island. But I got a phone call from Apple from France in April, so literally a few months before moving in, with an intriguing job offer. I knew Apple, obviously, like everybody knows that company, but I didn't own any Apple products. So the whole interview process was just me taking a chance and go through the next steps without expecting at any stage that they will hire me, because it was a technical support job. And like I said, I had no technical knowledge whatsoever about IT in general and not with Apple products. I said yes to the offer, even though I was really not convinced. And I told everybody, my parents especially, if I like it, I'll stay a year for the experience. And if I don't like it, you'll see me in a month. So it was either a month or a year. So when I arrived in Cork, I still arrived with a lot of luggage, right? I remember that very clearly. 2 heavy suitcases, 1 backpack. I stayed in a hotel the first day. Accommodation is a big issue in Ireland. It was less in 2014, but still I didn't have the opportunity to find a place before moving in. But I knew where to sleep for the first few days. And my start at Apple was 3 days later, 30th of June. So big onboarding, a huge crowd of French speakers and German speakers starting on the same day. I felt familiar because I spoke French immediately with the new colleagues. I felt weirdly familiar in a way and welcome even during that first week. Small anecdote, the first day I started work, I had to do some paperwork, admin work, like open a bank account, get my social security card, all this kind of stuff that we need to do. And my family name is Barry, which is a very popular surname in Ireland. You have a lot of Barrys everywhere, and you even have a tea brand that's very popular and produced in Cork called Barry's Tea. that I didn't know back then was a big thing. So anyway, my name was local to them. My first name absolutely foreign, you know. So when I go to these offices and they ask me to sign up to fill out these papers, they're a bit confused about why my maiden name is Barry, and they think I don't know what maiden name is. So I start to have to justify that no, this is my dad's name, when they keep insisting that it's surely your husband's name. And I'm like, I'm not married. So this started really like a joke, but over the 8 years I ended up staying in Ireland, it came up over and over again. My name was always very familiar to them. So they associated me with someone, already based in Ireland and who married a local man. That was my first week in Ireland. Familiar, comfortable, and still some assumptions, I guess. Friendly ones, not the worst ones. But yeah, I had to justify why my name was my name. And for the full story, Barry is also very popular in Guinea, where my parents are from. Highly popular name. It's like the Murphys of Ireland. So I just had to justify this.
This is really funny because more often than not, we hear the stories of something like the opposite, right? People struggle with our names and they don't even know how to pronounce them. We can even make like a small book or a big book for some people of all the different pronunciations that we hear throughout our lives with our names and our last names. So that's funny that you were kind of already like a local even though you were not, and people try to convince you that you were a local. That's a first. Very cool.
That's a first.
So how do you think your experience in Ireland influenced your career? What have you learned about that? And maybe what could be the things that you miss now not living there in France, right? In terms of career, but also life as well.
So many things happened for me in Ireland. So when I left, I was a graduate in translation. So my plan was to, like I said, go abroad 1 year, gain the experience, improve my English, meet people, and go back to freelancing as a translator. That was my only goal. I thought I would do that because I studied 5 years for that. That's the funny thing. When I arrived, I was a struggling freelance translator because everybody struggles at the beginning, but I was still translating on the weekends and in the evenings. So I still maintain my passion. At that time, that was a real passion. I hustled really hard because I was working 40 hours at a new job that I didn't know anything about and translating on the weekends while socializing, etc. But after a few years of doing that, actually 3 years of doing that, I realized that it's no longer fun to work in these conditions. I still love the translation work in general, but I couldn't see myself doing that. Maybe it wasn't the best conditions to do it, I'm not sure. And I started to question really what am I going to do with my career, because translation sounded like the best thing for me as an introverted who loved languages. That was my two main reasons. Plus some others, but why I chose translation in the first place. I love languages, but wouldn't like to speak every day with people. So I had huge blocks. I thought I was shy. And maybe, I still have some glimpse of that. But now I realize with the job that I have that it was just all in my head and a mindset issue more than anything else. And I specialized in audiovisual translation. So I was translating movies and TV shows and anything that is on video, because I was also passionate about that. So I really thought naively that because I studied that and worked really hard for 5 years, I would do that. And I realized that no. And I started to panic a little bit. I was 27, 28 when I realized translation was no longer aligned with what I wanted to do. And it's definitely in Ireland that I connected with, personal development has always been a part of my life, but as a learner. I never imagined I could be a coach because I was putting coaches on a pedestal and I thought everything in their life was figured out. Everything. They were almost perfect in a way. And of course I wasn't, I was shy. I hated public speaking, was not comfortable networking. I had so many things. I thought I would never reach the coach thing. But in Ireland, I think I attended a personal development workshop in 2018. And that's where a few things shifted. It was Make 2018 Count, the title of the workshop. It was facilitated by a career coach and business coach, I believe. And she asked us at some point to write a meaningful goal for ourselves, something big that we want to achieve in 2018. And in 2018, at the end of 2018, I turned 30. So for me, this was already a big deal. The year I turned 30, obviously, I need to figure out what to do with my life. And this is during that workshop that I wrote for the first time, and I wrote on paper for the exercise that I wanted to build this career coaching business to help frustrated multilingual professionals to land a job that they love. This was literally what I said and wrote without ever telling this to myself earlier. It's like it came out of nowhere. It was magic. Obviously, it didn't come out of nowhere. Probably it was always there, buried under some limiting beliefs that I will never be able to do that. But because the lady told us to dream big, why not dream big? I cannot believe that it happened on the day that I got the idea, but it was the first time I recognized it, first time I wrote it, first time I thought about it. And from that moment on, so from January 2018, it became an obsession. Okay, now I know what I want to do. I wrote it. It must be true. So I have to do everything I need to do to get over all these blocks. So I did train as a coach. I did a few different things. I worked with a coach. I took all the personal development courses that you can think of. I attended conferences in London, in Dublin, intense things for 3 days to get rid of money blocks, to get rid of mindset blocks. I did all the uncomfortable things for a full year, and I'm still doing that even today to become the coach that I wanted to be, because my mission was clear, and I really wanted to make it happen. So that's what Ireland brought me.
Wow, that's fascinating. I wonder why this mission came to you, right? Like you say, it was written in the stars, but then still it took you some time to arrive there. What were the things that made you think, okay, I am the right person to do this, and I see that this is where I can have the most impact?
Great questions. I always say now with the time that has passed and the reflection, I always say I became the career coach that I desperately needed at that time, or not too long ago anyway. So I'm just a few years, months ahead of the people I helped at that time anyway. Now I'm in a different situation where I left corporate recently, but at that time I was going from one job to the other. In my 8 years in Ireland, I changed jobs 6 times. And it was always me quitting for another one. Always slightly better one, but still not my dream job. So it was just a better pay or better opportunity, or there was always something a little bit interesting in those jobs. But definitely I was going the wrong way, career-wise. Until that workshop where I wrote that, and then I realized, okay, I need to do something with this, because, like I said, personal development was always an obsession, and career became an obsession for me at that time. It was the number one thing I wanted to fix in my life, and help others at the same time. And to be honest, I was quite good at landing jobs. It has never been an issue for me to land jobs. Each time I applied, I was very happy to do my CV. I was not struggling to land jobs. I was just not knowing where to go with these changes. I thought that maybe there's something to do there, because I have a natural interest in the job search process. I kind of liked applying for jobs, even it's weird to say, because usually everybody hates that process of applying and interviewing. But for me, it was good practice. I want to see the results of the work that I did on my resume. Really, it was almost fun to look for a new opportunity. I started with helping colleagues around me. Before becoming a certified coach or anything, I was like, maybe I can help you with your CV. Maybe I can help you to prepare for your next interview. And really, my first non-paying clients were colleagues who were aiming for a new job or promotion. So I was more than happy to practice with them. And I started to receive my first testimonials from 2 colleagues I helped when I was working at Dell at that time. And it gave me the confidence that I needed. Even before the official certificate, I was like, oh my God, I helped her. She nailed the interview. She told me she felt good rehearsing before. So definitely I needed that social proof to believe and to keep going, because I had so many blocks, like I mentioned. But as soon as you can see that you help 1, 2, 3, 4 people, then you're like, okay, I'm gonna push through everything. So really that helped. Yeah.
That's so exciting, and begs the question, right? Because you mentioned a dream job, and many of us in immigration, when we end up in those situations when we're happy for any job, right? Like we can struggle to get a job, let alone a dream job. So I suppose you will tell me yes, but do you think, and why do you believe that a dream job is an attainable goal and dream for all of us as migrants? And what would be the things or the skills or the mindset changes that we need to make in order to get there?
I love that question. Yeah, so I was afraid to say dream job myself because it's a lot of pressure on anyone. But what I meant really when I said dream job, and what I was passionate about, is helping people find a job that's fulfilling for them, whether that's the dream, or but at least that makes sense for their career, that brings them money, satisfaction, fulfillment, career growth opportunities, all of that. So for me, that's the dream, something that you wake up to every morning and you're excited to go to work. So I do believe that it's not too much to ask, whether you're a migrant or local. That should be the absolute, in an ideal world, absolute standard, that you get to love whatever you do and you just don't do it for the money. And I was always convinced that a job is not just a job. Some people I know in some situations, they need any job just to get by, just to pay the bills. And hopefully this is a temporary state in someone's career journey, and at some point they'll get to what they really want to do. But I never really was satisfied with having the money and live for the weekend and feeling the Sunday scaries, because I felt all of that, even though I worked for quite prestigious companies that some people would love to have on their resumes. I can tell you that, that for me, it was just not fulfilling enough. I loved the colleagues. I loved some part of the multinational environment, definitely. But it was not what was driving me to wake up in the morning. Definitely not. Once I realized that I actually left my family and my friends for better opportunities, why would I be abroad? Actually, I owed it to myself, for the sacrifice of leaving my home country, my language, the norms that I know. I should even more fight to have a job that's fulfilling. Otherwise, there's no point at all in this whole immigration or expat process. That was my thinking and the mindset I invite everybody to have. It's not too much to ask, and you deserve it. I'm not saying more than the locals. I'm just saying as much as any other person. It's really a mindset shift to have. I know that most of my clients feel the same way. Internally, they know they deserve it. They know they have the skills. What's blocking them is thinking that their English is not good enough, mostly, or that they mispronounce a few words here and there, or that why they would pick me instead of a native speaker for that job because my native language is not a requirement. So they have all these, I know I can do it. Most people I work with are highly qualified, talented, ambitious, obviously. I mean, usually people who work with a career coach, they fit all of these descriptions. But they do have mindset blocks around why me? I know I can do it, but why they would pick me? So it's all about being 100% sure why you, and then once you know why, you can convince someone else that, yeah, your French accent or your German accent or whatever accent you have is absolutely not an issue, and it's even a strength to speak another language.
Yeah, it is, and I really love the way you put it. It's the sacrifice that we make that should be this ultimate decision maker in a sense for us to try and have those better lives that we're kind of seeking there abroad. Because otherwise, what's the point? To suffer more, or to suffer, just still to suffer, but kind of with a different backdrop? What's the point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's the point? If I want to be unfulfilled, I can be unfulfilled at home.
Yeah.
Professionally with my family, at least, I'll have my circles. You have a lot to bring, first of all, because of your multiculturality, your adaptability, cultural awareness. All of that are by itself skills that you have that some locals don't have. People who never left their own countries won't have. So it's a big plus for you. And really, English, I know I say English because I was in Ireland, but could be another language if you're moving to Spain. You can always improve on your language skills, your pronunciation, your grammar, etc. As long as you keep the communication strong. I always say people are judging you not based on your accent, but how you communicate and your confidence. I mean, a mix of different things. Pronunciation is the least thing that people will care about, as long as you can communicate your point and be convincing and believe in yourself. It's definitely a mindset shift to have. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes the right coach.
Yeah.
It takes a few different things.
Makes sense. Now, you're saying this makes me think about, how some moms, when they become mothers, they put it as their job on LinkedIn as well. Maybe we should also put it like our immigration as a job, and all the different skills that we learned and all the challenges we had to overcome. Maybe that could be a good
idea
thing to highlight.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm curious though, I have to ask, right? So you decided to come back to France, to the country of your birth, to the hometown, right? As well?
Yeah, hometown. Yeah, exactly. Small town where I was born. Yes, and you want to know why?
I'm just very curious because this is not a unique experience. Many of us think about it a lot. It can become this thought, should I come back? Have I made a mistake? If then I come back, what does it mean for my career? What does it mean for my life? Did I give up? Or, did I actually make a choice to continue? What was happening in your head? How did you make this decision?
It's weird because when I left Ireland, like I said, it was a month or a year. Never thought I would stay 8 years. Never thought I would build a business there, create a network there, got diplomas there, because apart from the coaching, I also studied HR. So a lot happened for me in those 8 years. Obviously, I was 25 when I left, 33 when I came back. So these are years where you build skills and you grow your network. The only real thing that I never knew was when I will come back. I knew I would come back one day, weirdly. I never imagined that I would settle in Ireland. I knew I would come back, but I didn't know if it would be when I will have my first child or when my business will go full time and I could travel and work from anywhere. I knew I would come back. I didn't have any deadline. And personal reasons. So my dad got sick in 2021. So he started dialysis, which is quite strong and heavy. So 3 times per week he needed to go to the hospital, and he still needs to go to the hospital. And I knew that me going back home would help them in a way, like practical way. And even parents are always worried when you're abroad. So even though I have 2 sisters in France who live far away, I felt like I was the only one who could actually be at home with them, which is kind of true, right? The 2 of us really can't. One as a family and the other one for work lives 600 kilometers away. So it became like an obsession, like, okay, Ireland is great and my friends are great and my business is going great, but my parents need me. It became like an obsessive thought. And I'm not saying that they don't need me. I am back now for a year. To this month, it's been a year. And I realized that they helping me more than I'm helping them on the day-to-day basis. So I think I freaked out internally and I was like, I need to be there. But thank God, in reality, we are helping each other. So it was not planned. Honestly, if it wasn't for this diagnosis of my dad's health, I would probably still be there for sure, because there was no sign of me returning. I'm glad I'm here. It took me good 9 months to adapt. It was a huge shock, a huge shock to come back, not only to your hometown, which is a tiny town, when Cork is a vibrant multicultural city, but to come back at 33 or 4 even, and to live with your parents when you were living alone or for 8 years. This was a huge shock. A lot of adaptation. They didn't understand my job at all. For them, a job is when you go outside the house. It was a lot of adaptation on both sides. And so far, so good. So far, so good. Things have changed in my business too. Being back is what helped me to take the leap and leave my full-time job, because obviously in Ireland I would have had to pay rent, and extremely high rent in terms of cost of living, and here I can afford to have no pressure to build my business. And for now it's working, but really it was hard. It was really hard to... I miss Ireland still every day. I'm still connected with friends there, and I'm planning to go at least once per year to see those friends. And I'm still working in English mostly. I'm still helping people find jobs in Ireland. So that part of the job is still similar. But now I'm wondering, what can I do with the French market? What can I do with the French speakers? Because all my communication, my coaching mostly has been in English since I started. And it took me a while to realize that there is potential to actually be a career coach for French speakers who want to go abroad, and not just for any immigrant. Because I know French people, even though they understand English, they prefer to have the communication in French with you. I'm still trying to figure out what I can do in French with the people who have a plan to immigrate.
So many exciting things, and what I hear maybe as a lesson, right, to start wrapping this up and to start extracting the lessons we want to understand, what kind of pieces of knowledge we can share with the audience so they can either inform their choices or prevent certain mistakes. So what you said was, and that's how I heard it, going back doesn't necessarily mean that you failed. It can be a step up for your career. It can be a thing that is the most logical and it's the most beneficial for you at that point. For you to come back, it has always been a choice, right? For many reasons, you knew that you would come back. And also, there are people who don't plan to come back. They might not have even anywhere to come back, but still coming back can give a lot of strength to you as well, right? Like being surrounded by the people that you love, being in the environment that is familiar, where you don't need to invent the whole new identity. You speak your own language. Yeah. There are so many benefits to being back there, even if sometimes, yes, it can be quite challenging. You might need to adapt just as much as you had to when you were a foreigner in some other place. Now you kind of feel like foreigner in your own home country, at least for a while. That could be like that, but I suppose you having the skills already of being a really good adaptive person helped you there as well, and maybe that was a better and faster process too.
Yeah, definitely. There was an admin challenge, because when you go back to a country after 8 years of not having an address in that country, even opening a bank account in France, they needed a lot of things that I didn't have, which is crazy. I finally found an online bank that would allow me to open a bank account. But for months and months, I was using my Irish account and my Irish credit card, just because of weird admin situations that were not making sense. But yes, definitely it is super helpful to come back to a country where your family, your childhood friends are here. So it's not that I lost all my friends suddenly. It's that I reconnected with ones that I was seeing once per year or twice per year before that. So very grateful for that. And I'm pretty sure there is a huge opportunity for my coaching business if I decide to go the other side and really communicate in French. I took part in a challenge on LinkedIn last week, where the challenge was literally post 5 posts every day over 5 days. And I did it in French to challenge me, because as weird as it sounds, my French is fluent, obviously, native level speaker. But everything I talk about comes to me in English first when it comes to coaching, personal development, professional development. I mean, all the topics I've been talking about for years came to me in an English environment. So it's very hard for me to say the same things in French in writing. So I know it's weird. It sounds weird, but maybe you understand
I
what I
do.
mean.
It's exactly the same thing. I think talking about some specific work related things or just general on psychology or personal development is really hard because even the words might not be present in that language
Yeah.
and you try to explain the meaning. Now I have the same challenge trying to explain certain concept of my work or my personal and professional growth to my French teacher because the words are just not there, you know. And I'm trying to explain to him about the words that don't exist in his head. You know, it's very funny. It's very
Exactly. So
interesting.
you
Yes,
understand.
I do a lot.
So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. So for me, writing in French takes a bit of effort. I felt at the beginning that I was translating from English and it sounded translated. And then I realized it's because some words don't exist and I just need to say it in a different way. But anyway, I challenged myself last week. It's very, very recent. I wrote those posts in French, got a few new people reaching out to me on LinkedIn and asked how I can work with you. People who saw my post in French who probably never would have reached out if they were written in English. So I realize now, this challenge made me realize, yes, I need to speak to both crowds, the English speaking crowds and the French speaking crowds who can understand English, but who would prefer me to communicate in French with them. So let's see where I go from there. But I'm thinking to keep doing some regular post in French, maybe once per week to start, and then we'll see.
Sounds really exciting. I'm super interested in how this thing develops for you as well. So this is actually a great point to mention where people can learn more about you, where they can connect with you.
Yeah. So I'm always on LinkedIn. That's the place where I hang out the most. So my name is Fatou Barry. So if you type Fatou Barry, actually you will find that I have a lot of homonyms, a lot, because it's a very common name in West Africa. So you want to add top of the pile to find me easily. So that's the name of my business. So if you type Fatou Barry or just Fatou and top of the pile, you will find me super quickly on LinkedIn. And I also have an Instagram account for the career coaching business, and it's topofthepile.eu for Europe. And I have this brand new matchmaking business as well, and it's top_matchmaking on Instagram. So that's the best way to find me. Of course, I have a website, topofthepile.eu as well, where you can find my contact details. But LinkedIn or Instagram is usually the place where we'd see your message first.
Super exciting. Thank you. Thank you, Fatou. All right, so to highlight two lessons that I heard from you that probably are kind of the whole leitmotif of this conversation is to trust the journey, to allow yourself, to give yourself the time to adapt, to hear the circumstances around you, what the world is telling you, what you can help people with. That was kind of the message that you got right through your subconscious. In a way, you were doing one thing completely and then just seeing the things that you didn't have, you thought, okay, who if not me can solve this? And then with the same thought as well, it's trusting that you are the right person for the job, that you have all the rights to pursue this dream job, or at least the job that you really enjoy doing, right? You have the skills and you also deserve to be that person too. And if you need some help with that, Fatou is here to help with career coaching, with maybe matchmaking as well, and everything will be fine.
Thank you so much.
Would you like
I really appreciate that.
Would you like to add something to this?
Yeah. First, I wanted to say thank you again for inviting me. It's my second invitation as a guest in a podcast after Philip, actually.
Yes.
So that's really kind of you. The last message is I was obsessed with work and I'm still am obsessed with work is so important, and it's really your responsibility to do anything you can do to get to a fulfilling career. So I'm not saying it's easy necessarily, but it's achievable, it's doable, and nobody will, hand anything to you, really. You have to go and get after it, take the course if you need to take the course, get the coach or the mentor if you need that. Try something new if you've been trying things that are not working for you. I see a lot of posts on LinkedIn about people obviously very disappointed about the whole hiring process, not hearing back from recruiters. And it's a mess, and it's not what it's supposed to be in again, ideal world. But you have to keep going despite everything. You have to change strategies. There are so many things that we cannot control in life. And I always say your job search is something that is half-half. You are dependent on the economy, the market, etc. But you can do so much more than you think. So I just wanted to remind people of that. You are not hopeless. It's not the end of the world. You can do so much to reach your goals.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Fatou. Those are amazing points, and definitely something that can help us during those moments where we feel hopeless, because it can be tough. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited about your journey. Looking forward to the next conversations with you as well.